Hi guys, welcome back to Two Worlds Collide podcast. On today's episode, we have Scott Jones, aka Scojo. I hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So you can't swear in the first 10 minutes of these episodes because YouTube will throttle the episode.
I'm sorry, mate.
We just did start this 20 seconds ago. And then I swore in the first 10 seconds and then you swore. So I had to press pause and then delete the old version. And now we're back here now.
It wasn't a slur. I think you'll find I said it very clearly.
But, mate, Scojo, welcome to Two Worlds Collide podcast. A very, very important episode to combat the lies and the audacity and the disgustiveness and how the Channel 9 news organisation with Nick McKenzie have ran this story. And
great bloke.
Fantastic man. I'm assuming he's going to come for us all at one stage after this.
Yeah.
But, mate, Scojo, welcome to Two Worlds Collide podcast. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming to Adelaide.
It's a pleasure to be here, mate. It's not often I meet up with dudes I met on the internet and they fly me to exotic locations for a chat. I feel like I'm on Epstein Island or something. But here we are, mate. And I just listened to your podcast that you did with Shane Warne's son, which was awesome, very wholesome.
He's a good man, isn't he?
And I feel like I'm sitting in this chair, so maybe I might get a little bit of his special powers and I can start bowling leg spin again. Oh, well, it's getting too cold for cricket now.
I know. But, mate, yeah, obviously there's been a lot of things happening over the past week. And what we know about the Ben Roberts-Smith stuff is pretty much only what's been put out in the media. And the media have been very heavily one-sided on this to try and prop up their boy Nick McKenzie and to ensure that, you know, their news organisation and media outlets have a, you know, truth teller position, which we all know is absolute horseshit.
Yeah, well, so, if you're profiting off something that you write a story about, you know, there's obviously going to be a bit of a bias there to get clicks and put a headline out there that, you know, I've had journalists say to me directly, like, well, that article got 1 million views, so I got paid. Okay.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
But not good for the people that have fought for this country and fought for their freedom to be able to write those articles.
Absolutely.
So I thought I'd get you in because, look, you've been through the process of having your house raided.
I have.
And all this other stuff. I'm going to let you explain that because I don't want to take your story for you. But maybe, just maybe, let's just add a bit of credit to your story and give you a bit of a brief background of yourself.
Yeah, too easy. So I joined the army in 2008 from a beautiful little place in Western Sydney called Campbelltown. You might have heard of it this time of year. Absolutely phenomenal. I wanted to be a soldier. And I joined as a rifleman initially, realised that wasn't maybe for me because I actually want to get out and one day do more of the ASIS space in the national intelligence community. So I switched to be an electronic warfare operator. So primary role of these boys overseas, depending on what technology the enemy is using, is to carry equipment that can exploit that technology. So Afghan, for example, listening to and finding out the location of the Taliban when they're talking on their radios. And then depending if they switch to mobile phone use, then we would have the equipment. It was like a golf bag solution. See the golf clubs here. What we would take on the job was depending on what we were targeting. And then you had the option back then in the army to do selection and become a special forces qualified commando, and you could earn the green beret that you see, your cousin wore before his passing. And I did that, so I did the whole selection and reinforcement cycle, became a commando, but kept my job because I felt that the best asset I could be might not be the number 6 in the team carrying the gun or the breaching charge, but the dude carrying the signals equipment to locate enemy signals so that the boys around me could kill the bad guys, and also to prevent them getting ambushed. So our role was to take away the situational awareness from the Taliban because they didn't know we were listening to them, and they weren't aware at the time. We knew how to find them. Every time they transmitted on their radio, it would give us a location to them. And as you can imagine, for a sniper, when they're looking across the whole valley looking for someone to shoot, looking for a bad dude to put down, it's pretty handy having a dude that can tell you, if you look along this bearing, approximately 500 meters away, there's a dude planning an IED. And we got to put on every deployment, every job, every mission. I don't think there was many missions where they didn't bring an electronic warfare operator. Pretty handy to have.
Cool. All right. So how many trips have you done?
So I did one Special Operations Task Group deployment to Afghanistan 2013,
Yep.
2 deployments to Iraq combating the Islamic State 2014, 15, 16, 17. I also did 2 tag rotations, a tactical assault group, and I did a couple of little grey roll deployments I'm not allowed to talk about.
All right. So you're well qualified to talk about the current situation that we're in, given that you've been in combat in the highest stress environment for any Australian soldier, given that you deployed with 2 Commando, the Special Forces Regiment. Now, there are allegations against certain 2 Commando members, but there's also the allegations against Ben Roberts-Smith. Now, this is all going to tie in together. We're probably going to talk about the whole thing in regards to the Brereton inquiries and everything. Mm-hmm. But let's start off with Ben Roberts-Smith. Let's also start off with the process that he's going through now, because you've sort of been through it. So just explain to us, like, your house getting raided, you getting arrested, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah. So not just me, obviously, like there was over 400 fellas that got interviewed and accused of different things, varying in nature and severity during that time. And a number of the boys, whether you were ever to be charged or not, just to rattle the cage, we feel, they went after a lot of the boys, and a lot of the houses being raided. As of almost 2 weeks ago, one of the boys got his house raided.
Yeah, I didn't call me.
Yeah, exactly, and it's shattering. You know, at this point in our lives, we're just dads. We've moved on.
Yeah, house raided in front of his 2 little girls. His wife was out the back. You know, his wife's now struggling. His 2 little girls are thinking, why is the AFP coming to my dad's door and kicking his house in?
Yeah.
What's he done wrong? You know, he's a war hero.
Yeah, your neighbour's in your street. You've built up a bit of rapport with the 80-year-old neighbour across the street, putting his bins out and stuff. And then he's like, hey, Scotty, what was that tactical team doing kicking your front door in?
Yeah.
And you got to explain that you're not a drug dealer.
And it's still, I just want to let everyone know, it's still happening to today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, when the head of the OSI is on $800,000 a year, why would you stop? You know, that I don't know his intentions. He might be the best lawyer in the world, but I can tell you right now, if I was on $800K a year, I'd be working pretty hard to keep things moving along. I wouldn't be in a rush to shut it down. But my specific circumstances, I was eventually went through the court process and was found not guilty, never convicted of anything. And I signed a legal non-disclosure agreement, or it's called a deed of service, apparently in legal terms, where you are not allowed to talk about it. So I settled the matter with the government, and we all move on. But I could definitely talk to all the boys that are going through it, because everyone that's currently going through it, especially RS's team, some dudes that I actually did a deployment with 2 Squadron, with E-Troop. So they were there with us in Afghanistan, and we did a number of bilateral jobs with them. Mm-hmm. You know, we let them fucking hold our pocket here and there, because obviously we're the premier unit in the Australian Defence Force. Shout out to 2 Commando. I do have a bit of knowledge, obviously, on this subject. And then from there, because of my experience with my own situation, I ended up going down and helping in Ben's trial in some capacity, and I also was working overseas at the time, so I had a lot of time to watch the trial every single day, live stream. So I feel like there's not many people other than the journalists in the room that watched as much and were invested in much as a trial as I was. And now I'm also helping out Oliver Schulz from his case, because I'm no longer working for our government, and it's a very niche thing, the electronic warfare operators. You're cleared to top secret, so you have access to a lot of tools and things, and when you get out, you generally work for ASIS, ASIO, DFAT. Mm-hmm. All of my cohort work for ASIS, ASIO, and DFAT, and they're not going to put their neck out and risk the rest of their career by supporting Ben, so or the other boys that are in trouble. So I'm happy to do so, because I'm certainly not going back to ASIO after the Instagram, you know, posting photos of me wearing Speedos in gunfights on the rooftops of foreign lands. They don't really want to have operators in the field that can be identified.
That's right. All right. So, okay. So the first thing I want to break down is 21 witnesses. 21 witnesses. Yeah. 21 witnesses came against this, and you really get to the, you know, you talk to guys like yourself. You talk to, I won't name anyone else on the podcast for, you know, reasons that we don't want to, because this is, you know, my podcast, and I don't want to put anyone else under scrutiny, but I get this information from all these other people. 21 witnesses. Well, no, it wasn't 21 witnesses. It was more like 2 or 3 or 4 witnesses. Yeah. But then there are a whole bunch of witnesses that were on Ben's side as well.
That's right.
That all got, during the defamation trial, that all got just kicked out, and none of their testimonies were even...
Unreliable witnesses, they were referred to as by the judge.
So... just explain, and I want you to go through, right, because there's also, you know, we were talking before, there's witnesses of Afghan nationals, so an Afghan born and bred person that may have seen something overseas. Now they're living back in Australia.
That's right. They are. So I think we need to go back one step further and say, how did we get to the position where people are accused of war crimes? So in Afghanistan, I was there, actually the first week I got to Afghanistan, we were on CSOPs. We weren't allowed to go out and do any missions because a certain patrol of the SAS had mistakenly misunderstood certain rules, and they cut off a whole bunch of people's hands to bioenroll to get the fingerprints of the bad dudes that we'd killed. Not we, I wasn't there. And that was the patrol led by certain Andrew Hastie. So I first got to Afghanistan and I'm not allowed to actually go out and do my job. I thought, the president of Afghanistan saying, hey, whoa, no more jobs, Australians, you're out there fucking lopping off hands. So that was my first exposure to the allegations of war crimes. That meant I didn't get to go out and do my job. So I was just, sitting in the gyms and smacking brews and flirting with cute sig chicks down at the MRTF or whatever. But then fast forward to about 2014, things started to come out. There's starting to whispers that there were people unhappy with other people's service and conduct in Afghanistan. So they came around and said to us at platoon points in 2 Commando, and they said, mate, if anyone has a problem with anything they saw overseas, there's a certain female called Dr. Samantha Cromforts, and she's sitting up at the headquarters, and she is someone you can sit down and talk to. Her door's always open. Go over there if you have a problem. And I, as a young digger, I put my hand up and said, is she hot? And one of the boys said, it looks like she's been hit by an IED. She's got real bad acne. She's no good, mate. And I was like, well, what are we doing? We're going to the range. And all the boys just put their body armor on, went to the range. No one that I know spoke to her. And then she was obviously over in the SASR. None of my friends in the SASR know of anyone that ever spoke to her. But clearly there was a couple of little weasels that went and had a sook. And we thought it was about potentially the drinking culture overseas. Maybe Scojo was getting a bit too naked on the back deck and butt chugging a few, long necks of VB, and that's unacceptable.
Even I drank overseas, and I was just a grunt in 3 hour.
Right? Yeah, it's normal. We're human beings, and it's a good way to decompress. And I'm not saying become an alcoholic, but it was a good culture. And imagine, I saw it as like a footy trip. You're on a footy trip with the boys, and when the work's on, you're on. When you're on the field, you're on. But when you're back in the clubhouse, have a little good time.
Yeah.
So the drinking culture, we thought that's what it was about. So 2 Commando blatantly just like, this is dumb. We're not even going to contribute to this. And then Sokost came out, the head of the special operations, said, there's something deeper here, because some people have come forward with some pretty wild allegations. And the biggest allegation, you can Google it, is that the SAS cut a whole bunch of young children's throats, put them in body bags and threw them in a river. Now, one, we didn't carry body bags on jobs. Maybe one dude did for one bag if something bad happened. And secondly, if you're going to hide a body, you're not going to put it in a flotation device and throw it in the river. None of this really made sense to us, but this was what was coming out in the media. And that sounds horrific, right? I even heard that. I was like, oh my God, if that's true, that's pretty cooked.
But none of those allegations have ever been.
So we're in 2026 right now? And not a single person has ever been accused of that. But that was the premise for the next step, which was to launch the Brereton Inquiry, which is an old reservist fellow, Justice of the Supreme Court. He came in and basically compelled over 400 soldiers, predominantly operators and support staff that were in Afghanistan, you were compelled to talk to him. And
is he the one that looks like he should get his hard drive checked?
Look, I'm not saying it's your comments, not mine. He's not my biggest fan. Shout out to Burrow. But look, like what occurred there, then we started to hear what was happening. So you're in the mess talking to your mates at lunch, and they look all disheveled. They look like cooked. They look like they've just seen their missus get hit by a car or something. Like, you all right, mate? And maybe it's a bit of PTSD creeping in or something. But he goes, no, I was just in an interview with the IGADF. And they laminated on the table in front of me every person that I'd killed in battle, legitimately, say 5-10 people. They printed them out on laminated sheets of paper, and it was literally a zoomed-in picture of their half-missing head that he'd shot off because they were in a gunfight in Afghanistan with an insurgent. And they laminated and put them all on a table, and they forced him for 8 hours and sit there and stare at it.
Isn't that really good for a soldier's mental health?
Yep. And some of my biggest haters, you know, I think even Nick McKenzie. Who else? Like, there's a few people out there that won't like what I am and what I stand for, and that's fine. But no one will say that that's good for anyone's mental health.
No.
You know, imagine if someone had been seriously assaulted or hurt in some way, shape, or form that was disgraceful and disgusting.
So they did this to soldiers.
They did this to soldiers, like heroes. My mentors, the dudes that I looked up to were looking at me like all disheveled. And
how many years after it was?
This is say 2015, 16, 17, 18. And these guys, this is from
5, 6, 7, 10 years.
10 years prior.
Okay, so after they went and fought so hard over in Afghanistan, after
Yep.
they've punched well above their weight,
Yep.
after they've really done a lot of the heavy hitting over in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
they've built up such a reputation,
Yep.
they've built up such a masculine man environment that the world seems to hate these days, right?
Yep.
And they put a whole bunch of photos of dudes that they shot over there
Yeah.
in the protection of our country,
Yep.
saying, do you remember this? Do you remember that?
Yep.
What the fuck? Who?
Cooked, mate. Absolutely cooked. And
I mean, that's a war crime in itself.
it should be. And what
Who
happened
the
was,
fuck do the government think they are?
one dude sat back in his chair and he laid on the floor. He literally laid on the floor in the interview for half an hour. He didn't have a support person or someone there to hold his hand. They just left him there on the floor. They just let him have a full mental breakdown. And then when he was speaking to the boys later on, he said, one of the photos they showed me, I killed a bad dude. We were shooting at each other and I got the drop on him, and it was who was quickest to the trigger. The dude's half his head was missing because he shot him in the face, and his eyeballs had popped out the front of his head and it looked like they were dangling on spaghetti. And he said to me, and we all laugh about it, but what he said to the boys is, I spent the last 3 years of my life going to psych off base so no one knew about it and trying to forget that image. He's been trying in his own time to wipe that memory from his head. And then these fucking jerks that have never been in a gunfight in their life, I don't even know if they've ever deployed, slap down a picture of that in front of you and say, you're going to tell me the lead up to that event, what you had for breakfast that day, why you went there, where you were patrolling, what direction you were facing, when you shot him, where exactly were you, who was there, who was next to you, and forced him to relive it. And this happened to over 400 people over about a 2 or 3 year period.
Ah, great. No wonder, so many ex-veterans now are struggling with struggling to really grasp the reality of life at the moment. I wonder what happened within that special forces community to say so many fucking diggers that came back from Afghanistan in the special forces community are either mentally unstable, committed suicide, or are living their life in a terrible situation. I wonder what really provoked them to really relapse again.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened.
Why did they turn to drinking and suicide?
These bags of shit.
Yeah. Absolute scumbags.
I hate our government. And this was done under the Liberal government, wasn't it?
It would have been probably about that time.
Scott Morrison era?
Yeah, I dare say. Yep.
Screw him, that fat loser.
Yep, absolutely. And I've worked, I was in Afghanistan with Kevin Rudd. I did PT a number of times at the unit with Tony Abbott. Shout out to Uncle Tony. I briefed Scott, Malcolm Turnbull into several capabilities.
Tony Abbott's come out and spoke very positively for Ben Roberts-Smith. So.
Yeah, no, he seemed like a G. I'm not much into politics, definitely not as much as you are, but I was exposed to every government and I served under them, and I sat with them in rooms like this, telling them about different capabilities and what we were doing down in the two-way range, and they looked like deers in headlights. They didn't want to hear about it. They didn't want to see it. And it's important to understand that for that 2001 until 2021, when we left Afghanistan, it wasn't just one government over there. It wasn't just one defense minister, one minister for defense, one politician. They were all there.
Now, so we've sort of understood the starting of the trial. So so after they laid out all them photos, what happened after that?
So after that, there was just silence. You just waited for your turn to be called up, and some people got called up, some didn't. Some people clearly went in there to defend themselves, and they were just absolutely shut down and smacked. They were allowed to take water breaks for once every couple of hours, while they were absolutely just getting screamed at.
So full interrogation.
So in the paperwork, and I'll give it to you.
By who?
You can post it. The IGADF, the Inspector General of the Australian Defence Force. It's like, the HR department of defense.
Go.
And HR, they work for the company, don't they? They're not there to help you.
That's right.
So everyone's going through that, and then rumors are coming out, and I blatantly just said, when I got told, like, I've got to show up on this day, I was like, I got stuff on that day, brother. I'm not coming, because, you know, I'm not going to risk my mental health and being berated by someone from my service who hasn't served. And it's important to note, I see a lot of people in the comments sections on your videos and other videos. I'm a veteran, and I think Ben Roberts-Smith should be prosecuted. You're a veteran of what? I'm proud of everyone that served. I got mates that were cooks, fucking truck drivers. Love them all. Good cunts. Sorry for swearing.
No, it's after the 10-minute mark.
Oh, we're good? So we can still monetize this bad boy?
You can start drop the F-bombs and C-bombs as much as you want. I don't know if the audience will like it, but
sorry,
they're here now. So.
I'm doing my best, guys. Sorry. But yeah, ultimately, some served, others fought. So think about that on Anzac Day. Many people served our nation and served our country with pride. They deployed. They went away from their families for 8 months. Yeah. They didn't see their wife and kids.
And there's still a huge amount of respect that the Australian population needs to give to those people.
Absolutely. And then there's those that fought.
Yeah, and then there's a higher level of respect you give to them.
That's right. The intensity of their service, they might have only served for 4 years in special operations, but they did 4 deployments to Afghanistan. They were in over 200 gunfights. They killed over 100 insurgents. So you've got to think about the intensity of their service, and these dudes are those dudes that they're grilling in these interviews. High-charging performers in the ADF, the tip of the spear, obviously. And then, so we're waiting for things to come out. And the report finally drops in 2021-ish, I'm guessing. We'll have to get the dates, fact check that. Take that down, Jamie.
Yeah. I need someone like that.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm getting close.
I'm
getting close.
And the report drops while we've still got diggers in Afghanistan. So my mate is sitting at a patrol base as a grunt in northern Kabul, and he's training the Afghan army. And our chief of the defense force comes out and says, hey guys, the whole world, live stream, public broadcast. Hey, potentially some of our soldiers were cutting young boys' throats and putting them in body bags and chucking them in a...
That was a lie, wasn't it?
Which was a complete lie, complete fabrication. And he lists all these horrendous crimes, and that there's all these individuals now potentially going to face criminal action for murdering innocent Afghan villagers. And my mate's a grunt standing there with all the Afghan villagers listening to this, and they... Like the soldiers, Afghan soldiers are just Afghan villagers that have come over to learn how to be a soldier. And they're looking at him and going, did you do this? And think about the position that puts... Like the harm that put, like the boys had to put extra security, isn't not facing out of the base, but facing in, because we had so many insider attacks. So horrible timing. And then a couple of months later, they say, fuck it, we're out of here. And they withdraw from Afghanistan in a tail between the legs. See you later.
And the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2 weeks.
They sure did, which says to me that the Taliban were already there the whole time. And we're trying to say like, no, these people weren't innocent civilians. Everyone that we ever fought in Afghanistan was a civilian. So that's another point. Look, comment section, Ben was killing innocent civilians. Okay, well, they were all civilians. The Taliban weren't a formed army. They weren't a formed body of troops. They didn't have a conventional force behind them. They were an insurgency. They were civilians. When they weren't fighting us, they were just farming their crops or doing whatever they do, bacha buzzy.
That's it. You can't prosecute someone when the enemy blends in to the natural population. You can't prosecute someone when they strap fucking 15 kilos worth of explosives to 13-year-old boys. You can't prosecute someone when they get insiders from the Taliban to join the Afghan National Army that partnered with the Australian Defence Force and turn around and shoot 3 blokes on the 29th of August.
That's right.
You can't prosecute people for fighting a war like that.
No.
For all these armchair warrior experts out there that think they know a bit about what happens over in Afghanistan because they've watched a few movies here and there. Well, think again.
Yep. And it's important to now understand that the rules of engagement you employed over there in a conventional army setting are vastly different to those that the special operations use. So you can look this up, ROE 429 Alpha. It's an offensive ROE. So whereas you had to wait to be shot at to shoot back.
Yeah, because I was a grunt. Yeah.
A grunt, predominantly. So in general, maybe you had the drop on someone, you could easily justify taking their life if they were about to attack the patrol, right? But one of the main ROEs that special operations use during targeting operations, which is actually going deep into enemy territory to hit an insurgent commander, is that our government and our politicians and our ministers for defense and all the guys on TV with the big pips on their shoulders, all the senior officers, came up with this thing, ROE 429 Alpha. And that was that we were allowed to go out and target individuals. And if they were the terrorists that we were there to kill, they could be unarmed. So it was an offensive ROE. So what that means is, if you were to name this objective whiskey, and tonight we're going out to kill objective whiskey. If you see objective whiskey and he's watering his plants, he's petting a baby goat, he's asleep next to his wife, the way that ROE 429 Alpha is written is, at all times, that objective is playing a direct part in hostilities. At all times, the dude that's asleep, causing no threat to anyone, is deemed targetable as if he's shooting at you with an AK-47. So, question for you, Sam. Can a special operations soldier, if you're going out to kill the insurgent leader, Objective Whiskey, and you see him, he's unarmed, am I allowed to shoot him in the face?
Under what you just explained, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And that will probably rattle a few people. But we didn't write the rules. Right? Like can you picture ScoJo fucking doing some legal documents?
No, that's the same brass that wrote the rules that are now that are now dodging any sort of allegations to do with any of this stuff. Like, why isn't it that anyone above the rank of Heston Russell getting done for this?
Yeah, that's right.
Why is it just all you boys on the ground?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
My biggest thing is what happens when an AFL team is going really shit? They sack the coach.
Yes.
No one blames the players.
No.
They sack the coach.
Yeah.
So why is it that in this situation now, it's just all the players and soldiers getting done?
Yeah.
Why aren't the upper echelons of the rank getting done here?
Yeah.
They seem to have just dodged this nicely, haven't they?
Yeah. They didn't know. They weren't aware that the people that they were going out and telling us to shoot and kill counts were a metric for success. So it would be a mission failed and it did happen a lot, where you came back and old mate got away. He wasn't there. It happened to me several times. And it was mission success if you killed that individual. And that could be from your bullet, from your gun, or it could be from a drone dropping a hellfire onto that individual. At all times, he was taking a direct part in hostility, so he was targetable.
Yeah.
So can the Australian Defence Force, can Special Operations soldiers, all the coalition soldiers, kill an unarmed person, an unarmed civilian? Yes. Yes, they can. Legally. And if you have a problem with that, you need to address that to the government of the day. And that was all governments. So right now, like we didn't want to talk about this. We didn't want to spread this to the world, but Ben's sitting in a jail cell hating life right now. So it's probably worth bringing it up for context.
Yep.
If you don't like it, speak to the politicians.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Now, should we jump onto the witnesses now?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So
my best friends.
Yep. All right. So because you've been very, very close to the entirety of the situation, you've helped during the defamation trial on Ben's side, and obviously
I hope I wasn't the reason why he lost. Don't put it on me, Ben.
No, the reason why I lost, I think, because it was probability, and the judge seemed to be a bit one-sided leaning.
Yeah, his hair too. That comb over, horrendous. Judge Anthony Pasenko, very intelligent man, but gee whiz. Head to turkey, brother.
Get that hairstyle straight. So let's talk about the witnesses.
Yeah, so let's go. So yeah, the biggest comment that we've seen in the last few days is, 21 of his mates showed up and said he's a shit cunt. Okay, well, let's break that down, because a lot of the people that showed up to say he was a shit cunt have a bit of a bias there, and I'll go through that. So the main witnesses against Ben, person one. So they're given pseudonyms. I think that's the professional word for it. Okay. Pseudonyms.
You're telling the story, mate.
Person one. So person one was an SAS member. He went to Afghanistan, and one of the first jobs in 2006, 2007, they're in an OP on a mountaintop, and person one let an insurgent walk through the middle of the SAS OP directly in front of them and didn't engage. When he was told to engage, he didn't engage. And on another incident, apparently he couldn't engage because he forgot to bring the oil for his machine gun, so his gun failed to fire multiple times when he did eventually try to shoot This allowed the SAS's flank to be exposed, and ultimately that day they ended up getting in a huge gunfight. So from there, what occurred is the 2IC, the patrol sergeant Matthew Locke, MG, who was killed in action not long after this occurred, had to climb up a cliff with Ben Robert Smith to kill this individual, so he didn't come around the other side of the patrol and obviously kill dudes. So when they got back to Australia, Matt Locke grabbed person one by the throat against a pub window in Perth and said, "I'll fucking kill you and throw you through this window if you ever endanger the lives of our patrol again." Person one got fucked off. And he admittedly, he said Ben was a bit mean to him, used to slap him on the back of the head because he couldn't drive properly. And he admitted in court, person one, he was a shitbag of a soldier. Every unit has their lemons, even 2 Commander, even the SAS. 2 Commander was probably me. SAS was person one, right? He admitted to it on the stand. He sucked. And he had to be retrained, and they took him out of that patrol and fucked him off. Now think about how hard it is to become an SAS operator or a commando and earn that beret. It's a big deal. Then to be told you're a shit cunt and fucked off to another team, would you take that personally?
Mm-hmm.
I would. So does person one have bias against Ben, looking for a way to get him back? Yes. Mm-hmm. Person seven. So during Ben's VC, so Ben's Victoria Cross has never been in question. Throughout the whole defamation proceedings, no one ever questioned Ben's VC. Even his biggest haters said it was the bravest thing I've ever seen in my life. So there was 3 teams. One team's pinned down on the right flank. When they land in this village, there's 100 insurgents come out of nowhere. They weren't aware of this. Ben didn't even have his body armor on. Ben's got no chest plate. Big dog. He's got a big chest. He doesn't need body armor. One team's pinned down on the right flank, one's pinned down in the center, and one's pinned down on the left. And there's a small mud wall in front of them, and bullets are flying everywhere. The team on the right is absolutely pinned down. No one can move. They're absolutely cooked, and they're going to die. And they're looking at each other like, we're probably going to die in this creek bed. The team in the middle said, person 7 said, we'll face the rear. We'll stay here. You guys go. And then the team on the left, Ben's the 2IC of this team. And sorry if I'm butchering it, boys. He sees the team leader get up and he steps over that mud wall and he advances to contact. 100 enemy machine guns pointed at him. And he goes one way around a compound. Ben goes the other way. He gets a Star of Gallantry. Ben gets a Victoria Cross. Person 7's at the back saying, I'll just face the rear. And in the trial, he blatantly said, I wasn't brave enough to do what Ben did. And we've got the audio file of that. We made it into a ringtone and turned it into a dance track, and everyone sort of uses that these days. So, like, what I'm saying is, you're a fucking coward. And in the game, that's a big thing, right? So I'm not saying it. This is what I was told, and this is what came out in the trial. And obviously Ben expressed that to this individual, and that individual was subsequently not in 2 Squadron anymore and put in another squadron that doesn't do green role fighting. Yeah.
I know what squadron you're talking about.
Yeah. And during the Global War on Terror, you wanted to be in a green role squadron.
Because that's where the fighting happened.
That's where the fighting happens. That's what you signed up for. If you and some people found out the hard way when you got to Afghanistan, maybe this isn't for me. And there's only one, throughout all the training we do and all the simulations we do, at the end of the day, you don't know how you're going to perform under gunfire until it happens. You're either, you found that out the hard way, or you've seen it like your cousin did and thrived and performed at the highest level. So person 7, then 2 years later, on a subsequent deployment, they went back to TZAC. They went back to the same village. And the only thing that was different in the village was there's 100 graves there on the southern side of the village now. Yeah. There's no one there.
Because Ben and the other dude killed 100 people.
They killed 100 people. And the weapons cache photos from that day are phenomenal. And no one denies what Ben did was phenomenal. But person 7, instead of pulling security and doing his job in that village that day in 2012, 2 years later.
Was he stepping out the meters Ben had to run? He was
stepping out the meters.
Why would he step out the meters that Ben had to run from open fire?
He's still upset that 2 years prior, Ben called him a coward for not assaulting with him. He was stepping out. He was saying, the machine gun, you said in your VC citation, you ran 50 meters through open fire. Well, it was actually 42. I paced it out.
Really?
And everyone's like, mate, is this why your wife left you?
Is this Soldier 7?
Soldier 7,
the one that was on last night.
Yeah, that's the dude that he admitted in Ben's trial. He was the one that went on 60 Minutes, and he was on 60 Minutes allegedly again last night. He said he was the dude from last time, and there was only 2 from last time. person 7 and person 14. So it's 50-50. I dare say it's person 7.
Because he didn't seem last night when I watched it, or the parts that I watched, he didn't seem sad. He didn't seem like he'd suffered PTSD. He looked disgruntled, and he looked very jealous-based driven.
Yeah, well,
that's the observation that I took out of it.
A good friend of mine, Hamish McLaughlin, did a podcast recently, and he said the barrels hadn't even cooled down yet from that gunfight, and they were back at base, and some of these individuals were squabbling over who should get a medal and who shouldn't. And that's not why we do it.
No,
most of us anyway. Obviously, some did. So then you had another great individual, person 14, the other dude who went on 60 Minutes. Great operator, absolute legend. Had a hard drive full of every person that they'd killed up to that point in time on a hard drive. So the photo of the dead photos that we're talking about earlier, like facial shots, because you had to take a photo of everyone you killed for evidence and, you know, whatever the cops do, chain of custody and evidence and AARs and whatnot. He kept all that on a personal drive and kept it at home. And not judging, you know, soldiers, you know, some people into some weird shit. Some people got some weird kinks, man, but that's a bit okay. So his missus left him, and she took all his stuff, including the hard drive. Then she tried to extort $50,000 out of the CO and RSM of the SASR in order for them to buy the hard drive back so she could go and buy whatever she wanted, some Lorna Jane or some...
Oh, so she got the hard drive, tried to sell it back to the unit.
She sure did. And this came out in the trial, and they said, so what happened after that, person 14? I was removed from Ben's patrol and fucked off to that other squadron.
Okay, so the 3 witnesses that claim they said he did something have all been removed from Ben's unit.
Or not Ben's unit, but Ben's team, Ben's patrol troop, you know, and put somewhere else. Some just, you know, 1 or 2 troops away for another senior operator to assess them if they were suitable or not. And they were not suitable. So ultimately, they all ended up not in a green role, somewhere else. And again, they're upset about it. You would be upset about it because you're upset at yourself. You let yourself down, but you're more upset that you let your team down. And if there's any way that I could get back at RS one day, I'm going to take it. And then you've got other individuals that there was no shortage of people that showed up in the trial that were just like, didn't see anything. So predominantly people didn't see anything. So there was, I actually think in total there was about 81 witnesses. Because person 81 showed up, and I know who that is, and we'll talk about him later. But for the most part, in amongst all these numbers are Ben's friends, are random like ex-lovers and mistresses and people that literally got on the stand for 5 minutes like, I don't know why I'm here. Like I wasn't there. You know, some people like Andrew Hastie, they were there on the stand and they were publicly there, but he was never in 2 Squadron. Why is he on the stand? He's never seen Ben operate. He's never been on a job with Ben and these boys. So why?
So Andrew Hastie has stood in court against Ben Robert Smith.
If you read the testimony from Andrew Hastie, he's talking about a friend of a friend said was having a sad day, and I said, What's going on, buddy?
So a 3rd or 4th witness account. And he testified against Ben on basis of a 3rd or 4th witness account.
Yeah, which was strange.
Not even firsthand.
No, not
Hastie
firsthand.
didn't see anything firsthand.
No, I'm pretty sure, you know, you'll have to, words to the effect of, he saw the dude in the hallway and was like, hey man, you look a bit disheveled. And old mate's like, yeah, but Ben's giving me a bloody hard time. And that was Hastie's whole thing. So, Hastie's being attacked in the media right now for testifying against Ben.
Well, no.
And he was subpoenaed?
He's not getting attacked in the media. He's getting attacked on social media.
Correct.
All the media.
Best media.
All the media outlets out there, they seem to be loving and frothing over this for some reason.
Well, he did go on 60 Minutes with Nick McKenzie and told him about how the time he accidentally killed 2 kids.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. Honestly, like that's horrible. Mistakes happen in war, and I'm not judging the man. He obviously took it very rough. He was crying on national TV, but to then chip someone for war crimes after you killed 2 kids with a hellfire, bit rich. That'd be like me coming out and saying, "Oh, you swear too much, brother." After me dropping the C-bomb for an hour on your podcast.
It's like the popcorn kettle black.
Yeah. Because I believe like accidentally killing 2 children is maybe a war crime. Yeah. But anyways, so then this was going on and on and on. And then, so I think it's probably then important. So now everyone's realized that after I did another podcast that maybe these witnesses are not as reliable as what everyone thinks they are.
Because that was the biggest pushback last week when everyone kept saying to me, but 21 witnesses, 21 witnesses. No. And, I knew from, I didn't even think it needed to be addressed, but it did, because there's a lot of people out there that really want to see Ben Roberts-Smith go away. These Australia-hating left-wing commentators, they hate us. And they want to see the destruction of our national pride. And they want to get Ben. They want to see Ben behind bars for life.
Yeah,
all these people that have never seen a day of action in their life. They've probably never been in a fight, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it. They've probably never been in a fight, and they want to see him behind bars. But the biggest case that they came out and said, there's 21 witnesses, 21 witnesses, 21 witnesses. And it's like, well, no, it's not what you think it is.
No.
It's not.
And every one of those witnesses saw a different piece of the puzzle. So the judge is trying to put it all together. No one was there on every single job, every single allegation. That's just not how it works. One dude was there in 2009, and another dude saw something in 2012. Hasty heard something in a hallway about the 2009 incident. And, it was all just like pieced together. But ultimately, the judge decided that there was enough evidence there for Nick McKenzie and Chris Masters to be able to write an article about it. And, to be honest, I don't know much about the legal system, but that makes sense to me. There wasn't enough to say he committed war crimes and he did all these things and he should be prosecuted. It was like, this is my understanding of it, that the journalists had enough to write an article about it because all these sooks in the SAS came forward that hated Ben and colluded together and got together and went to see their RSM. And that, why didn't these allegations come out in 2009 when this first allegedly happened? Why the day of the race? Instead of doing the AAR, they should have been in the RSM's office. Why didn't this happen in 2012 on the next deployment when allegedly all these other things happened? And allegedly Ben kicked a handcuffed person off the cliff. Where were all these boys then? This only came out 10 years later once Ben had left the unit. And once person 4, who was the person that was following Ben up the main drag of Tzac when he won his VC, holding his pocket. Brave as fuck, don't get me wrong. I never did it. But his gripe the whole time during his testimony is just basically asking the crowd, can I have a VC too?
Really?
Yeah. So have a look into that. And all these notes, like everything I'm saying is documented in federal court. It has to be kept now.
During the defamation trial.
Yeah, for 100 years. Like they have to keep it in a box somewhere. And I was just listening to this cooked unit talk about the fact that he deserves a VC. Like the dude that goes over the trenches second in Gallipoli to bayonet some Turks, he doesn't get the VC. The guy that went first did because he's willing to lay down his life for the dudes behind him. It's very rare that the dude that came over the trenches second gets the VC.
Well, no one cares about the second man on the moon, do they?
Nah. Who is he? Did we even go there?
No.
Stop it. But so
I mean, but that's reality of the situation. Yes, the second man was very, very brave also, but the first man was Ben.
Yeah.
And the second man, he was doing his job.
They gave him a medal of gallantry. He's got post nominals. You're a fucking hero, dude.
Yeah. If you rock around with one of those at Anzac Day, everyone knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
Yeah. And for all the lady listeners out there, you see a jacked up dude in a suit wearing an orange coloured medal. That's the one you want to take home.
Are you just going to wear one now?
Yeah, I'm going to buy one. Stolen Valor. Maybe we could make some merch, medals of gallantry for the boys.
Yeah.
But so
I'm actually waiting for my Ben Roberts-Smith merch to come in from Zero Limits.
I should have brought it for you.
I know.
Hand delivered.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Look, so it was an absolute the trial was an absolute dumpster fire. But many of his mates, dudes that I respect and look up to, got on the stand and said, that's not how it bloody happened. It happened like this. And there was a lot of pushback. But because these dudes are a bit looser, had a few piss-related incidents and maybe wore a fancy dress costume at the fat lady's arms or whatever, they were discredited for that. And the judge said, well, they're unreliable witnesses. I'm not going to listen to them. But I'll tell you who, to me, sounded like a reliable witness. A dude called, I think it was Person 81, which, again, you can Google. Do your homework, ladies and gents. He was the current serving CO of the SASR regiment, a colonel. And during the main allegation, where Ben machine gunned allegedly a dude with a prosthetic leg, he was standing in the middle of the compound, which is no bigger than probably half a basketball court. And I'll give you the photos. You can have a good look at them and do what you will with them. You can see all the operators going through the rubble. And this officer is there in the middle of the compound having a meeting with all the seniors about what we do next. He said he didn't see a fucking thing. This is a colonel. This is the CEO of the SAS is saying, I did not see a thing. It did not happen. It blatantly did not happen. The incident where Ben machine gun a detainee did not happen. But they believe the digger because he said, out of the corner of my eye, I heard some gunshots, turned around, I saw something, and that's what it was. And everyone's like, we're just going to pay off the CO's view on this. You know, a very senior individual in defense, a colonel, is saying this blatantly didn't happen.
And running the SAS.
And implementing all these changes and the new changes after the report dropped about war crimes and accountability. And he's there saying none of this happened. And so let's talk about Whiskey 108. So Whiskey 108 is the cover term for that job where Ben's allegedly shot a dude with an old gimp leg.
Okay, so this is one of the incidents that he's being charged for murder with.
The main incident. So we'll talk about this one, and then we'll talk about Darwan, the cliff incident.
Okay.
So Whiskey
Darwan was 2012, wasn't it?
2012.
Yeah, so that's when I was over in Afghan.
Hell yeah. I was still a lid learning my trade in Holsworthy. Thanks for your service, Sam. Appreciate what you did.
You're welcome. Thank you also.
Yeah, you made my life a lot easier taking out all those bad dudes so I could walk around taking selfies on all the features. But Whiskey 108. So let's get into it. So I think it was Easter Sunday, actually. So very, very timely around now. 2009. Mm-hmm. So the SAS are coming back from a mission and they get a frantic call from 7RR. The battle group, I think Task Force Tusk. They're sitting up on a feature with ASLABs and they're laying into this compound that's shooting at them. Machine gun fire, RPGs, small arms. They're trying to kill the 7RR diggers up on the top of the hill. And this is a couple of weeks after I think they lost Hopkins, one of the soldiers. Yeah. I think it might have been around that time.
Yeah.
And then
apologies if we got that wrong.
Yeah, apologies. Like there's 41 years and I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. Love yous. So the boys are hooking in. There's a proper good old-fashioned gunfight. Task Force Tusk come over the radio and say, please, SAS, help us. They might overrun us. We're tactically withdrawing with ASLABs while firing. And the SAS are rolling past in Bushmasters just coming home. They've already got their multicam dressing gowns on and multicam slippers, and they get the call over the radio, can you help these diggers? They're in trouble. No dramas. That's what they're there for. They hop out, they dust off their multicam slippers, they push their strippers off them. Tanya Zayeda, get out. Got a job to do.
That's a joke, by the way.
Allegedly. And then they start advancing to this compound called Whiskey 108. They get to almost Whiskey 108, and there's still a lot of machine gun fire coming from Whiskey 108. So the JTAC drops a JDAM, a bomb, into the middle of that compound. And that kept everyone pretty quiet in that compound. So no matter what happens next, 7RR have said that whatever's happening in that compound, those individuals in that compound are so dangerous, we need to beg the SAS for help. 7RR don't like hearing that story because they're going to go, oh, go on, like, we're brave too.
Yeah.
And you were brave, but for whatever reason, that's the reality of what happened. The SAS came in, they dropped a bomb. They took out that compound, and now it's just rubble inside. Then as they're approaching the compound, I think it's person 18 in the trial, sees a dude limping out of the compound. And he shoots him dead. And he would later go on to testify against Ben Robert Smith and say, he shot an unarmed person. My brother in Christ, you shot someone for limping. He didn't have a weapon. But both legal teams, Ben and Nick McKenzie's legal teams, just like, whatever, that killed. We're not here to talk about that one.
Oh, we won't talk about that one.
We won't talk about that one.
Don't worry about that one.
The old mate literally said in his testimony, like, oh yeah, he was walking with a limp, so I shot him because he might have been carrying something heavy. I'm like, man, I got a bad knee. I walk with a limp. Don't shoot me, brother.
Yeah.
I'm not going to Perth if you're on the range. But anyway, so that takes place. So eventually they go into the compound, and according to person 81, the then CEO of the SASR, he says, there was no one inside there. People were clearing tunnels and whatnot, and there's speculation about who was doing what and what was found in the compound. But at the end of the day, there was an engagement outside of the compound, and a colonel said, nah, that was legit. Like nothing happened inside the compound. There's no insurgents in there, blah, 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 blah.
So the fabrication of the story that you're telling us right now is a lie.
Well, yeah, according to many people that were there. And I'm just a journalist. I'm just an investigative journalist listening to the trial, listening to the testimony. And I was like, well, there's definitely conflict here. One dude saying he saw Ben machine gun a dude to death. The CEO of that unit is like, no, that did not happen at all. And everyone else is saying, no, that didn't happen. The dude was running away from the compound, and the boys in the cordon saw him and shot him, and he ended up being an elderly male obviously couldn't run very fast. He had a prosthetic leg.
But also at the end of the day, there was that fierce of a gunfight happening that 7RAR had to call in the SAS. The SAS dropped a bomb. So whoever is in that compound, they were dangerous.
No, they were innocent civilians. Everyone in that compound was an innocent civilian.
You can't tell me after sitting there for a couple of hours. I don't want to, I don't want to downgrade it 7RAR at all. But they were fighting back. Pretty intensively, so they had to call the SAS. The SAS came in, dropped the bomb, and whoever was down there was a bad guy.
Yeah,
that's like, okay, people. So now the story's changed, right? And then this witness 19, you say?
18, I believe.
Yeah, so witness 18 said that supposedly he dropped someone with a limp.
Yeah,
but then he was saying that or someone else was saying that Ben dropped someone with a limp.
Yeah. So it's all very confusing. It's all.
And then the CEO of the unit or the OC, whatever he is, came out and said, No, well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Not that way.
Yeah, very odd. And then they extracted, and the AAR, this is 2009.
So this is one of the murder incidents.
This is one of the murders why Ben's in jail right now in Silverwater.
To me, it sounds like a fabricated lie.
Yeah, to me it does too. And I know people that were there, and they're highly regarded. And when you picture an SAS dude, these are the dude on Ben's side. When you listen to them talk, you'll hear the difference between the dude on 60 Minutes and some of the boys when they're having a yarn at the pub. You can tell the difference. You can tell who were the hitters and who weren't. And that's just the reality. So that's one allegation. So now let's fast forward to 2012.
Okay, well, just before we start. So that first allegation, beyond reasonable doubt, there's a lot of doubt there for me.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, that gets thrown out.
Yeah. Well, the JTAC and pilot...
Especially with no body, no name. There's no forensics. There's no bullet casings. There's nothing. There is nothing. And you had the CEO of the unit saying it never happened.
And when they extracted, they put 5 more bombs, 5 more JDAMs into the middle of the compound to wipe it out. So one of the boys said the only thing that was left in that... What evidence? What crime scene analysis they're going to get? All that was left was burnt dirt.
It's probably 10 foot under rubble right now.
It is. Yeah. With a couple of bad dudes with AK-47s, RPGs, and whatever else they were shooting at 7RAR with. So they were bad dudes. They weren't innocent people. And
congratulations, folks. We're at war. There are bad guys. I heard last night, and I forgot to mention on my reel this morning, that they were saying, oh no, once the battle space has calmed down, you're not in a war zone anymore. Hey, dipshit. Every single time you go outside the wire, you are at war. Doesn't matter if it's at the end of the battle, the start of the battle, or you didn't even get in a battle.
Yeah.
When you go outside the wire, you're in war. When you are inside the wire, matter of fact, you are still at war.
Yep.
There are still elements that are trying to kill you that have infiltrated the Afghan National Army that are Taliban soldiers. So when you are over in Afghanistan, you are at war.
Yep.
So these bags of shit last night that tried to tell me that we are not at war when the gunfight has settled down, fuck you.
It's not a police situation where there's a containment line.
It's like we're not in the middle of Australia.
Nah.
We're over in Afghanistan.
I know definitely of 2 times where I left the enemy compound after we thought it's all over for extraction, and I got absolutely blasted by the Taliban. Machine gun fire, accurate, like lead wasps zipping by my head, my butt puckering. Like almost got killed multiple times, but 2 of them was certainly from coming out of a compound thinking, oh, okay, that's it. Let's knock off, head back to the gym, get the Uber in, the helo to pick us up. And that's when we got blasted on extraction many times.
And that's why you would have put the 5 JTAC bombs into the compound after they're done.
Absolutely.
Because it happens to you once and you learn from it, right? You never let it happen again.
Yeah. And one of the dudes actually there on the day in Whiskey 108, one of the guys told me last night that he was actually shot in that compound years prior. So say in like 2008, on their first deployment, he's like, I actually remember this compound. The boys in this compound shot me last time.
Yeah, right.
And that is insane.
Yeah.
I don't think that's come out yet because he just told me, and I was even like, wow.
There's just so many. I was on the phone a lot last week. There's so many stories that come out from this, and it's like, oh wow, that wasn't told during the defamation trial, was it? Oh, Okay.
Yeah. And it is buried in some of the articles. You might look over these articles of Whiskey 108 and down in the fine print, it's like, and also person 81 said none of this happened. But like, tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I get it. You journalists and you get paid off clickbait and a headline, and that grabs people, and that means you get employed and you get a Walkley Award and you're an esteemed journalist. But there's obviously two sides to every story, and I'm not... I wouldn't be defending these boys if I thought they were doing the whole village and murdering innocent women and children and innocent people. But I've just told the story of what actually happened according to federal court documents happened at Whiskey 108 and why Ben's in jail for one of the murders. So there's a bit of speculation there. So let's go to Darwan.
Darwan was the
cliff incident.
The cliff. Cliff.
And I know a little bit more about this one because I was there probably not long after the cliff incident. I was standing at the cliff. And I can tell you right now, I'll send you the photos. Might do a little cheeky post on the gram. It wasn't a cliff. It was like a small hill. And that's where when I first read the article headlines, I was like, okay, here we go.
So it's lied straight away.
It's a lie straight. It's sensationalism. Like, I've got photos of the hill. They just, on 60 Minutes last night, showed the hill. It's not a cliff. And the videographer that went there is like, it was a sheer cliff, and I was standing there picturing, imagine someone getting kicked and flying down this cliff. Have you never been to the Gap in Sydney? Like, do you know what a cliff looks like? So it's not a cliff. It was like, imagine your front yard has a big slope out the front of it. This is where allegedly that incident took place. I was probably 100 meters off that, overlooking the compound in 2013. So we got sent back there. No reports of any cliff kicking incidents. Two Commando got sent back to the exact same house to do a job in 2013, and I got the photos of it. And when I saw it on the news, I was like, I remember that compound. And it's in a place called Darwan, which is at the top of a valley called Shahidi Assas. And I know you're an Afghan linguist, but that means Valley of the Martyrs, where their best fighters live in Afghanistan. Valley of the Martyrs, Shahidi Assas. And, imagine if we had a place here where we are in Sydney called Valley of the VC Winners, where all our military members retired to, and you wanted to go assault that, you'd have a hard time, right? Like, these are where their best fighters are. I believe like many engagements happen in that valley, and we were there a lot. So first of all, everyone in that village in the Valley of the Martyrs is a bad dude. Is a bad dude.
Just like I said.
Yeah.
Dude, you go outside the wire, you are assuming everyone's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Especially when they strap 15 kilos worth of to 13-year-olds and blow them sky high.
That's right.
They're all bad guys.
And I wasn't there for the cliff incident, and I'm not SAS. We're the tier 1 unit. They're the tier 2. Just for everyone listening. And so, we're
going to have a lot of people angry at you after this, mate.
Why are you defending these boys and ripping them? But I was there in an OP above the compound, the cliff compound where it happened, and I'm looking down, and the photo of it, I'm in the shade. I'm in a shadow, and that's because there's a rocky outcrop there, and I was literally hiding behind a rock. It was the first time I pretty much bitched out. It was towards the end of our deployment, and we're in that same village, and all the intelligence coming through. My interpreter is hiding in a ball next to me, and he took a photo of me, and he said, "They're going to kill us. They're looking at you. They're talking about you. Like, they can see your mullet." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, they're talking about you above the compound in the rocks. I'm on the ground. They're looking at you right now. They're about to kill you." And I start slowly, just like casually, not trying to show the boys I was scared, but scooching in behind a rock. And when he took the photo, I'm in a shadow, and I got my finger on the trigger, looking back at him. And it's the scaredest I've probably ever been in my life, honestly. And then like we've jumped out, nighttime, DZ 10,000 feet at night, MVG jumps, and that's confronting sometimes. But like it was the first time I think I actually thought above Ali Jan's compound, I was about to die. I was about to get hit with a machine gun, and I was like, well, fuck, we better stay here. And everyone went to ground, and eventually the partner force was so scared that we fled down. We didn't even go into the green belt. 2 Commando called for the helos back, and we got the fuck out of there. And this is the alleged incident site where they're just Afghan villages, innocent Afghan villages.
So they pretty much got the Afghans' greatest soldiers.
Yeah. So I don't know.
In this village. But they're just innocent villages.
Yeah. So one of the villages that testified against Ben.
I want to talk about these guys.
Yeah. Like
heavily.
He saw this incident happen in Darwan. He was watching it from across the creek bed. And then in his cross-examination, he's like, well, to be honest, I'm like 80 years old. Or he's probably, like 35 in Afghan years, which is kind of like dog years, you got to fucking times 7 or whatever a dog is. And this dude's like, I can't even see my own dick when I piss. I can't see that well. Yet he could spot RS fly kicking someone off a cliff 300 meters away across a creek bed. And that was his testimony.
So he got cross-examined for bad eyesight.
Yeah.
But you've seen him for 300 meters away.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure the judge, I'm pretty sure was like, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, buddy. And so a few of these witnesses are back here now living in Australia.
Afghan nationals.
From the Valley of the Martyrs.
Okay, so like pretty much the place where they house all their greatest fighters.
Yeah.
Afghan Taliban fighters.
Yeah, one's an Uber driver in Adelaide. We're tracking him. And when the extraction happened from Kabul and a lot of our service personnel bravely went over there, when bombs are going off, killing all these Marines on the fence, and we had a number of our Air Force, SAS dudes, commandos, conventional forces, Ajis, all there extracting all these poor innocent Afghan people that were going to be beheaded by the Taliban. I guarantee you a few of the people on that plane were the witnesses. And the reason why I know is because allegedly one of the major networks paid for a year's accommodation in Kabul for these families. And
I wonder which network that is.
Look, I don't know, mate. I'm not a journalist. But so these individuals were staying at a nice, safe hotel, so the Taliban didn't come in and kill them because they're cooperating now with white-faced Western Christians or Jews, whatever denomination you believe in. The Taliban weren't happy with that. Even though they're actually coming to Australia to allegedly prosecute Australian soldiers, the Taliban weren't too happy with that. So they needed bodyguards. And that network allegedly approached a company that does private security over in Afghanistan. And a lot of the dudes that run the private security teams for the embassies are ex-Australian soldiers, Aussie diggers that have chasing the big bucks on the embassy contract gigs.
And obviously we know all them because we're good friends with them.
Yeah, so a few of them reached out and said, hey, I was one of the guys bodyguarding those guys at their hotel before we extracted them back to Australia.
So there was a media outlet in Australia that paid a lot of money to get these guys protected to bring them back to Australia to then prosecute against Ben Roberts-Smith. That's
what people are saying. And then one of the guys said, well, these Afghans were, they didn't have much money, so every now and then we'd buy them a can of Fanta or, buy them whatever they needed, smokes and bumming a durry out the front of the hotel while they were there for a year. And they started to develop a bit of, Stockholm syndrome, and they start hanging out with the bodyguards more, and some of them, conversing. Eventually, they were told like how much money they're going to be given and all the things that they've been promised in Australia. And the boys
to prosecute against Ben.
Yeah, and the boys, the diggers that are now bodyguards, recorded it all. They got video footage. They got audio files of it.
No, what? You really?
Yeah.
So there's video footage out there that's, I'll be careful with this. There's video footage out there. Allegedly. Recorded of these guys, allegedly, saying that they are going to be given money and a great life if they talk up against Ben.
Yeah.
Oh. That is a big curveball in the case.
Yeah, big curveball. So these are the witnesses. These are the 21 witnesses in this trial that everyone keeps talking about in the comments. So, and I don't know, who knows if it's true and how much money it was, but I know I accidentally broke an Afghan man's window once on a job. Actually put my barrel through it, and he ended up being a good guy. And we gave him $20, $20 and he was. I've never seen a man cry that much. It was like he just saw his first son get born or whatever. $20 went a long way in his valley, and I can only imagine what
20 US.
20 US.
Well, a US goes a long way in Australia now, mate, as well.
True, yeah, true. So yeah, man, I when a lot of people before I got cancelled the first time, I was getting a lot of these messages coming through from the boys like, hey, we're watching the trial. Just so you know, like, I was bodyguarding these guys.
Wow.
Come forward, boys. Like, hey,
okay, so
Ben's in jail.
Okay, so the first one with the 7RR boys, I mean, there is massive holes in that story, and there's very contradicting points as well.
Yep.
The second one that you just told sounds like a guy that seems to be 80 years old that can't see past his dick. has somehow seen Ben kick someone off a cliff from 300 meters away.
Yeah. And one of his teammates did testify that I think he saw it as well. However, that dude is a raging alcoholic, and it's well known, like, he's not well in the head. And it's not, I don't think, as you've said it before, like, you've done it on your reels, like, CTE is a real thing. PTSD is a real thing. I'm not a big mental health advocate. Men have muscles, not feelings. But hey, other people will agree that people aren't doing too well from everything that's come out.
But when you run this through court, right, and the defamation trial was probability, now it's beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
So you can't sit there and cross-examine that and then go to the jury and say, okay, what's going on here?
And on top of that, that's in the jury. Then they push everyone out of the room that's not required, and they go into a closed courtroom where the top secret stuff happens. And the jury's going to have to go in there and listen to, like they did in the defamation case. And in the top secret room, there's actually evidence in the top secret trial, especially for the village of Darwan, that acquits Ben, I feel. There's clear evidence that I read that I don't think the prosecution understands the reporting, the signals intelligence reporting. There's several key things in that actually almost exonerate all the other 19 dudes that are accused of war crimes. There's like, oh, well, this incident here clearly says unanimously from an external source, a drone, that potentially he was telling the truth because this happened over here at this time when he alleges it did, and the judge is saying it probably didn't happen. I don't think that's why I was a little bit involved, because lawyers, even if they're a QC, they're not expected to understand signals intelligence reporting from Afghanistan 10 years ago. So it gets a little bit murky and tricky, but there is a lot of evidence to suggest that, well, there was a bad dude in the creek line shooting at the boys and looking at them, and at the time that they were there at that compound. And it's murky. It's very murky. It's not clear cut.
No. Well, this is the thing, like, beyond, like I keep saying, beyond reasonable doubt. There's just so much doubt here.
Yeah. And
even if you're a left-wing commentator, you listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've only heard the Nick McKenzie side.
Yeah.
The 60 Minutes. Oh, these poor people.
Yep.
Like, really?
And why were the SAS in Darwan? Ask yourself that. Does Ben Robert Smith, like, wake up in the morning, crack his fingers, do some push-ups and get on his laptop and go, all right, where are we going today, boys? Let me look at the map. No, you get intelligence from back in Canberra, which potentially comes from the NSA in America, and they develop the target packages. You go where you're told. The SAS and 2 Commando, we don't go and hit a house that there's no intelligence on. Why were the SAS there at that house, surrounding that house, and why did they get into these gunfights? Why were they at that specific house? Ask yourself that. Ask to see the report. What was the reporting on that house? Will that come out in trial? Probably not, because it's at the top secret level. It's in closed court. If people knew what the individuals in that house were saying and doing and planning, then again, they're not innocent people. Whatever happened. I don't know. I wasn't there. Whether he was engaged by gunfire or kicked down a cliff or whatever, I don't know. But what I do know is that the evidence that suggests that house, everyone in that house was harboring the individual, it's almost clear as day, that shot the 3 soldiers, Hekmatullah. Yeah.
I remember that bag of shit.
Objective jungle effect.
I remember that bag of shit.
Yeah.
We went out looking for him for like 3 months.
That's right. And if you see him, and you're a member of the SAS and he's on the JPEL, he's the objective jungle effect. If he is seen, does he need to be armed, Sam? No. What if he doesn't have a weapon?
He still murdered 3 of my mates.
Yeah. And he's prosecutable because at all times, ROE 429 permits that he is taking a direct part in hostilities.
That's the legal part of it. The moral part of it was he murdered 3 of my mates.
Yeah, he did.
And that bag of shit, Hekmatullah, is still roaming free in Afghanistan now, he's a hero over there.
Yeah.
Apparently a hero.
He
slaughtered 3 of my mates.
But with the addition of the drone technology, some of the Aussie diggers are finding over in Ukraine right now. And they're bringing those technologies now to other nations. And some of these drones that we've got, they can fly a few thousand kilometers. Look at the Shaheeds that are flying around hitting AMAB from Iran. They've got that technology in Iran, and wouldn't it be ashamed if some of these boys coming home, instead of getting thrown in jail for helping the Ukrainians fight, sent a couple of drones up from the sea,
Lord can
over
only hope.
Afghanistan? Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting?
I still think to myself most days that guy's still walking around.
Yeah,
it still bugs me.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I would always, I I think I've said this on a podcast before. If I didn't have my wife and my kids and the life I live now, I'd probably go over and...
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve to be breathing.
Nah, it's it's who we are, and we back our mates. Some people dog their mates, but the majority of Australian soldiers back their mates.
Have you heard the story of Ben Roberts-Smith on that night, the 29th of August? Do you want me to... I'll quickly tell it for you anyway, just for everyone. So what happened the 29th of August was Hekmatullah was an Taliban soldier, infiltrated the Afghan National Army, which partnered with the Australian Defence Force. And he was only in there for about 3 weeks, right? But got sent out to patrol base Wahib. And after a patrol one day, all the Australian soldiers were getting ready for bed. A few of them were playing cards. He walked up from his Afghan National Army position, because we used to share the same base, because we do partner patrols. And it was lucky, right? Because he went to go grab a PKM, a machine gun. But the machine gun said, no, I'm not going to give it to you. So he only walked up with his AK-47. And that machine gun had something like 200 rounds clipped to it, or 150 rounds with 7.62. So if he got a hold of that, it wouldn't have been 3. It would have been more like 15 blokes killed.
Yep.
But he emptied his AK-47 clip, shot 3 of my mates, injured 2 more. Brutal scene. Guys on my podcast have told the story from a first-hand account a lot of times, and I don't want to steal the story from them. But if you want to, go back and listen to Jay Toop, Matthew French, or Corey Neal. Any of those podcasts, they're brilliant. First-hand account of it. It is brutal. But anyway, the first team to fly out was RS and his team. He came in, got the whole scene under control. If it, imagine just 15 first-time diggers going over to Afghanistan. Lids, and we're all young.
Yeah.
Martin was 20 years old when he died. Pody was 23. Milosevic was older, late 30s, but he had 2 kids at home.
No one kills a man named Milo and gets away with it.
That's it. I know. No.
Love my Milo.
Thanks for putting a bit of laughter into my story.
Sorry, mate.
But the first team to fly out was Ben and his team. He took the whole scene under control because, everyone was rattled. And after the scene got under control, RS turned to one of the boys and said, which way did he run? And he said he ran that way. And there's a village down there with a green belt. And in the middle of the night, RS grabbed his stuff, ran down into the village by himself, and did an assault by himself on the village to try and find the guy in the middle of the night with no team around him. I'm telling you right now, for any digger out there, you know that you don't go outside the wire, or anyone playing at home, you do not go outside the wire if you're just a normal military personnel, a normal grunt, a normal Australian soldier, a normal infantryman. You don't go outside the wire in anything less than 15 to 20 blokes. You don't. And then you go in the middle of the night when you knew this incident happened and when there were potentially people waiting down there to get you an ambush. But Ben Roberts-Smith grabbed his shit, ran down there and tried to find the guy for half an hour to an hour, for what it sounds. Ran back up, couldn't find him, told the boys, gave them some very reassuring messages and lifted the spirits.
Yep.
And then we got the boys, flew them out of the chopper, and then they came back to TK where I was.
Yeah.
And that's the incident that started a manhunt in Afghanistan for Hekmatullah.
That's why I was in Darwan.
That's why Ben Roberts-Smith was in Darwan.
Yep, exactly.
So when people say he murdered this, he murdered that, let's start to talk about Hekmatullah. Who murdered who?
Yeah.
And who's walking freely now?
Yeah.
Who murdered who? Who started the murdering?
Hekmatullah's living large with 5 chai boys in Kabul doing horrendous things to what they do to young boys over there, and RS is in maximum security. Make it make sense.
Fuck you.
Yeah. And RS was one of those dudes, like, I met him a lot of times and he provided a lot of guidance and sort of maybe some mentorship in the early days when I was a young buck, thinking I was killing it because I'm big dog commando, mate. 23 years old, whatever. But having dudes like him, like the dudes that I looked up to and mentors, were like RS. And we had plenty of dudes like RS. I'm sure you've met him and heard about him through your cousin in the 2nd Commando Regiment. And having a dude like RS on the helo, when you look around the helo and you're on a job, it was like, hopping in a warm sleeping bag, knowing that you had these dudes with you. You'd look some dudes on the helo, you're like, maybe not that guy. But the majority of dudes that had that same persona as RS, you felt very comfortable. Like, oh, if it goes loud, shit gets a bit real out there. I'm glad he's there. If he wasn't there, I'd probably be a little bit more scared. I'd probably have an extra couple of mags. But because I know this dude's there, I feel genuinely like pretty good about what's going to happen on target.
Yep.
Yeah. And dudes like Ben, you know, there's plenty of people in his troop and patrol, but dudes like Ben are what brought all the other boys home. You know, like there's plenty of dudes out there doing their job, but there's like one dude that will bring everyone home. And that's a dude like Ben. Yeah.
Yeah. And, after the 29th of August incident, and then to hear, you know, the Darwan incident, but what it stemmed from, but it seems to me like there was no incident.
No. And so there's one more incident. There's one more that Ben, one of the 5 murder charges, or, you know, directing someone else to murder, was that they're in a house, whatever happens, and the occupant of that compound is killed. Enemy killed in action. Another innocent civilian. Well, what happened was, one of Ben's biggest haters testified on the stand that they were searching the compound and he could see on the mud compound wall that's been there for 2,000 years, it's rock solid, it looks like concrete, there's a wet patch. And he walked up to it and kicked the wet patch with his boot. The wall crumbled and all these weapons fell out of it. So they heard the helos coming, and after shooting at the boys, they stuck their guns in the wall and IEDs in the wall and put mud over it to cover it. But, you know, we went to high school, maybe year 9 was good enough to understand, like, you can see the difference between a 2,000-year-old mud wall and a muddy thing drooping off the side of a wall. And the individual that was in that compound was subsequently killed, and that's one of the points of contention. Was he killed as a prisoner, or was he killed in a gunfight? But I'll tell you what, he wasn't. An innocent person. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, the witnesses are shit cunts. They're not good people. They're not good soldiers. They never were. Piss off. Not credible. The people that are saying RS was just out there murdering innocent civilians is just not true. Because, yes, they were civilians. All the Taliban are civilians. But they were certainly not innocent. And that's pretty important. Whatever happened, and that will play out in court, I'd imagine. And it's not my fight. Like, it's up to all these SF influencers, especially if you're SAS. Why are you so quiet right now? Yeah, maybe you're selling something. You're selling a CrossFit program or a service or a supplement or a book or something, and you would rather do that than actually join the fight and actually stick up for one of your bros. But yeah, a lot of people were brave on the stand testifying against RS, but very few were brave in combat.
I think they'll find it's a bit different these days. In regards to, I mean, definitely brave in coming out and speaking out against him, not brave in combat. But I think the narrative is shifted. There's a lot more appetite out there now to stand behind Ben. Yeah, a lot more appetite out there now. Yeah, your average Aussie is not liking the way the country is heading, and we are not liking the way the attack on is happening on our veteran community. Even Heston Russell, you know, shout out to Hesto. Great guy. Editing 8 extra gunshots into his footage by the ABC. Like, this is now starting to come to surface. It's like, okay, so there is a clear attack on our veteran community. Yep. Why are you coming after our veteran community? Yeah. It seems to me all a bit coordinated, doesn't it? And they've given him, I know, $400,000 for clearly lying about his allegations in Afghanistan, yet I don't think they've come out and said sorry. No, they just said it was an editing error. Yeah. Okay, like, I'm telling you right now, I edit every single day. That's a big editing area. Like, yeah. That's like, you can't happen. Whoops. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Yeah. And you did that on purpose. And those guys are still under scrutiny. So one of Hesto's platoon members, you know, got his house raided a couple of weeks ago, and they're still copying it. So you think Hesto's won. Hesto's cleared the platoon's name. He's done an honourable thing by taking the fight to the ABC and winning. Think it's all over. And if you've got mental health issues from 10 years ago when you served in Afghanistan and the things you saw, and you're just a dad now, you're trying to get over it. You're working or not working, whatever you're doing, you try to move on with your life. Then they come and raid your house and they want you to talk to them. And by now we've got good legal advice and we say, no comment, take what you want. We don't care. I do not recall. Well, I'm not even going to, they know my name, you know my name. If you want to take me to jail, take me to jail. But, we've learnt now
the hard way of good legal advice. And through all of this, no psychologist or psychiatrist or Reiki or whatever, Buddhism, whatever you want to say, is going to help you. The only thing that's going to help you is having a good lawyer. And the defense lawyers that they give you when you're told to go and sit down and look at these photos of dead people, the defense lawyers, a lot of them are reservists. And in their full-time job as a lawyer in Civilian Street, I found out in my case, his specialty isn't murder investigations. He does wills and family law court.
So they're getting the best of the best to defend
Best of the best. And I always assume that if there's ever anything wrongdoing or investigations, you're going to get a good defense lawyer to come and help you. I met my lawyer appointed by defense one time and I said, hooroo, mate. I'm going to go. And so dudes have lost their house deposits over this. Dudes have lost their houses. Dudes have sold properties to fund their legal advice to make sure that they're covered. And they're still going through it to this day. Defense aren't helping. The OSI are cooperating with defense, with the AFP, and allegedly with the journalists to continue this fight against these dudes that would have gladly laid down their life for this country. And a lot of them did. Your cousin's right there, like his photo. He laid down his life for this country. And if he was still here, he probably would have got his house raided by now, right? 400 dudes. There's not that many dudes in the regiment. And, vibes are off.
And no one from the top brass seems to be getting done for this.
Nah.
Why isn't Angus Campbell?
Yeah, well, who wrote the policy, ROE 429 Alpha? Who told us as an organisation we're allowed to shoot unarmed people at all times? Questionable.
So even going back off that, if that's the ROE, rules of engagement for anyone playing at home, that's your doctrine piece of law that you need to read before you go out and fight anyone over in Afghanistan.
Yeah, in a targeting operation, in an offensive term.
For you guys, for special forces.
Correct.
And it says that.
Yeah, it does say that. So there's another individual who's in a little bit of hot water, Oliver Schulz.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about him because, look, is that everything that we want to cover with Ben?
Oh, there's obviously a lot more, but I don't want to.
You don't want to.
I don't want to contempt of court. I want a fair trial.
Yeah, because everything's going to come out in court. A fair trial. You know why they arrested him in Sydney? Because in Sydney there's a base of 7% Muslim people over there. In Queensland there's a base of 1.3% Muslim people over there.
Yeah.
You know the diversity change from Sydney to Brisbane? I wonder why. I wonder why they arrested him in Sydney.
Yeah.
Not Brisbane. I wonder why after months of Ben Roberts-Smith saying, I will hand myself in, they arrested him in Sydney.
Yeah.
Maybe go look at the diversity.
Alhamdulillah.
Ugh.
But
God willing.
And we won't get too much into this one because the murder trial is set for next year and we don't want to jeopardize the case. That's a throwaway line for a lot of people that just don't want to say anything because they're working as a contractor back to defense, right? But what came out in his pre-trial that there's articles on which you can Google, which everyone kind of ignored, is that everyone's seen a video of an Australian SAS soldier shooting a dude in a wheat field, right? I think worldwide, everyone saw it. And the blatant comment is another innocent civilian shot by Australian soldiers. Well, in the pre-trial, it came out that they were there to kill an objective under ROE 429 Alpha, code name Young Akira. And Young Akira was sitting there having a meeting about who they're going to kill next with three of his mates. So there's 4 dudes sitting in a circle. This is all publicly available. It came out in the pre-trial. The helos start roaring up the valley with a bunch of big dick SAS operators. By the time they're 2 minutes out, we say audible. They're audible to the Taliban. The Taliban start legging it. And this individual in a white dress splits off from his 3 mates. So who do you go after? Do you go after the 3 mates? Or do you go after the one dude by himself?
You go after the one.
Yeah, it's 50-50. And the helo lands. The dog goes and grabs him. They're getting constant updates from everywhere. The 2 Black Hawks are throwing purple smoke grenades at this dude running tactically bounding through the fields, aqueducts to try and hide from the Australian SAS operators who are encroaching on him with a dog called Quake, RRP Quake. They catch him in the field, a known suicide bomber. that they're there under 429 Alpha to kill, capture, the role of the infantry. It says kill first because it's easier to kill a suicide bomber than it is to catch a suicide bomber. Go and catch me a suicide bomber. That's why the word kill comes first in the role of the infantry for everyone and under RE 429 Alpha. It's a kill capture mission because it's easier to kill a suicide bomber that you're told to go and get. I'm not going to capture the suicide bomber. How am I going to do that? I'm going to die. I'll catch his body parts when he blows up and I can try and catch a limb from a tree or something. Like, really? You know, and people don't understand that. So whatever happens in trial happens, but a lot's come out in pre-trial to suggest that this individual, it was perfectly legal to do what the team did. And that's why it was reported that way at the time. And the video came out years later, allegedly, because a fallen soldier had all these videos on his laptop and a SIG was asked to clear his laptop. The SIG was told, hey bro, this dude has just been killed in action. We've got to send his laptop in his coffin back to his wife. Make sure there's nothing, you know, bad on it. Do a quick cleanup, right? If it was my laptop, you know, there might be some tranny porn or some midgets fucking doing some unspeakable things. But this dude was a hitter, and I'm sure he just had like workout videos or whatever.
Yeah.
But he had all the, allegedly, this is what I heard, he had all the footage from all the different patrols. And the SIG, instead of wiping the laptop, plugged his hard drive in, pulled all those files off, and gave it to a journalist. So you're wondering why this footage is being shown on ABC News? Man. Disgusting act.
But it was of a dude that was a known suicide bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the context wasn't really there with that one. And a lot more will come out, and I don't want to jeopardize anything because personally, I honestly believe he will be found not guilty and acquitted, knowing what I know and what I've seen, and what all the boys talk about. But that video obviously looks brutal. That's unfortunately war. And there was 12,000 of those situations. We allegedly killed 12,000 Taliban fighters during that war. And if you like eating sausages, don't watch them get made. It's not pretty. You want to send us to war? That's what war looks like. And you'll have a veteran in the comments section saying, I'm a veteran and I'm disgusted by seeing that. You're a veteran of what, champion? Dubai? You're on a ship? You were back in Australia? You're a photographer? What were you? Weigh in. If you've got some fucking shit to say and you understand what's going on. But if you don't understand what's going on, shut the fuck up.
Well said.
Respectfully.
Of course, respectfully. Shut the fuck up. No, but that's it's just so true. So true. And you know, I was out over the weekend, a lot of people pulled me up over this. Oh yeah, but he did X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, you're just listening to the mainstream media. Like behind every mainstream media, there's a dude with a puppet fixing the script, telling them what they want you to hear. Yeah. But it's like when you get someone like yourself on, it's like, well, the first incident, I mean, that sounds absolutely false. The second incident seems to be like a dude with one eye looking from 300 meters away that's old as hell, saying he did this and he did that. But in reality, they've been told that they're going to be given maybe a cushy life in Australia if they say X, Y, and Z at this trial. And there's some certain news outlet out there which facilitated the whole process. Yeah.
Yep. And then a few jaded operators mixed in there that got removed from their dream job and put somewhere else. And you've got yourself a war crimes trial. Pretty crazy.
Good luck proving that beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
What about the Burton inquiries? Can we talk about that?
Like the report?
Yeah, or like Burton himself.
Oh, well, I can't.
Oh, you're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a great, honourable man. Supreme judge, and he was served for over 35 years. He didn't get the chance to go to Afghanistan.
I heard he's a woke dork. That's what I've heard. Just to give it a bit of a dexterity to all my followers out there. I heard he's a woke dork.
Mate, if you're an officer and you had 20 years of a deployment and you served over that whole period and you didn't get a chance to go over, Unlucky, Brereton. I'm sure you're flat out and you didn't get a chance to deploy,
But he was also told to do the Brereton inquiries by Angus Campbell,
Yeah,
who is another high-ranking officer. But when Brereton did the investigation, he didn't investigate anyone on the top rank, did he?
No.
He said that was to be unrequired.
Anyone above the rank of captain wasn't aware of anything going on outside the wire, allegedly.
So he didn't need to do any investigation of those.
No. But they all got awards for being in action.
Yeah.
They all got a medal for being in action, although they weren't outside the wire and they didn't know what was going on.
They all gave themselves nice medals, nice cushy jobs afterwards whilst they were pegging each other. Yeah. And then putting any blame onto the soldiers on the ground and just washing their hands with it, right?
Yeah.
Bags of shit.
But in the letters, in their defense, in the horrible allegations and the letters that they sent individuals, they put a number for open arms or lifeline at the bottom. So you're an absolute disgrace. You've disgraced your country, your unit, and your fellow soldiers. But call this number if you're thinking about killing yourself.
Call this number whilst your phone is tapped.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to the OSI.
You know, there's going to be a day, right, where the pendulum comes swinging down. I'm not making any threats. I'm not doing that. This is just speaking my openly. I don't want to threaten anyone or don't think violence is going to happen, but in the context of the situation, the pendulum's going to come swinging down on these people. And after a lot of people get found not guilty in the current cases coming up, we're going to look to somewhere different, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're going to maybe look a bit higher.
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, so all the evidence up there, right up the top. Yep. No one wanted to talk about that. No one wanted to talk about the big dogs at the top.
Yeah. And all these officers, police officers that are seconded to the office of the special investigator raiding our houses, they're going to have a reckoning with themselves maybe on Anzac Day at 5 a.m. when they're getting ready to go and think about all the brave diggers that died in the wars. And maybe they'll look in the mirror while they're getting ready and have a think about what they've done and the legacy that they're helping provide the war fighters of our generation by raiding their house, intimidating their families, putting listening devices on phones and in cars and hotel rooms, and have a good hard look at yourself. Maybe don't wake up at 5 a.m. just to have a good hard look at yourself, then go back to bed. Yeah.
We don't want your honour.
Nah.
We don't want your pity.
Nah.
You don't deserve to be standing in the places that actual men stood for. They were supposed to be at Anzac Day, but they died.
That's right. There's like 15 people just got gunned down on one of my favourite beaches where I spend a lot of my time. And do you think the 100, 200 odd officers raiding our houses and looking at us for war crimes would maybe better used looking into these people that have slipped through the cracks, that were on watch lists, that were being given guns by New South Wales Police Firearms Registry? Do you think if these police officers for the last 5 years weren't sipping brews at the OSI looking at war heroes, people that made this country a better place, that maybe these officers would have found old Akram and his dad, and they could have prevented what happened. That's going to change our country forever and scares everyone what happened that day.
But they were too busy going after veterans.
They were hundreds of the best detectives. So the OSI are just a bunch of police detectives from all over the country that are seconded to the AFP to do this investigation. So all your detectives are looking at Australian soldiers instead of looking at a dude whose dad's on a watch list by ASIO and they think he's going to commit a terrorist attack, but they gave the dad guns in the same address where he lives with the son. That might have got flagged by one of these detectives had they not decided to get that little bit of extra money for working at the OSI as a secondment and to further their career. Just like disgusting.
This is the shit that revolutions are made of.
Yeah. If you're at the OSI now, shut your laptop, get up, walk back to your police station and start being a real cop. Being the cop that you signed up to be, not looking at Australian soldiers who would have gladly laid down their lives for you to stop another Link Cafe, to stop another Curtis Chang, to stop another Bondi massacre. That's what we do it for. Yeah.
And, you've heard RS and RS isn't the only one to say this multiple times, right? Like anyone would have gladly laid down their life over there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they wouldn't have been there if they weren't willing to.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you see this sort of stuff happening. The likes of Nick McKenzie and Channel 9 on a preloaded hit piece last night. And the only reason they did that is because they were losing the social media battle all last week. Every single news outlet that posted about Ben had to stop their comments because everyone, I want to see a poll out there done by a very biased person and just say, do you support Ben or do you not support Ben? I reckon it would be above 75% of people in this country would support Ben.
Yeah. Time for the boomers to unite.
Well, everyone. Boomers and everyone.
Yeah.
And
it's not a left versus right thing.
No, it's
like
not.
I know people want it to be, and the left have chosen a side, but honestly, Ben's not the guy you should be going after.
If there is some terrorist that comes in and goes into your house and is holding you and your family hostage, who's the one man you could think of that would be the best person to get you and your family out alive?
Yeah, who's got the most runs on the board?
Ben Robert Smith. And you're trying to put him away. So if we got attacked yesterday, who's the man that you would say lead the charge? Like if we were seriously getting attacked yesterday by a foreign force that were going to take this country over, who is the first person that you would turn to and be like, okay, we need veterans to come forward and fight again?
Yeah.
You would give Ben his own personal army.
You would.
And we're trying to lock him away.
And quite literally, if your sister, your mum, your daughter is on a Kentucky tour through Vietnam and she gets grabbed by some politically motivated group and she's a hostage, there is only one group of people in this whole country that are going to come and save you, especially journalists. Journalists are the worst for getting captured as a hostage. And when it happens, they make movies about it. The bravery of the operators that come through and save the day and get the hostage. You really want to keep talking smack about the boys that are actually going to save your life and the life of your family? You want to degrade the unit to a point where it doesn't exist anymore? Who's going to get your family back when they get grabbed? It's the recovery troop of either the SASR or the 2nd Commando Regiment. Who else is going to get them? You think DFAT's going to go in there with a big briefcase full of money and just pay them off? That's their plan. That's COA 1, option 1. But that doesn't always work. Yeah.
So did you watch just before we finish up, did you watch the 60 Minutes piece last night?
Yeah, it was just after maths, so I was still on a high. Like really excited and buzzing,
And so because I pulled out a few things of it this morning, like even some of the footage that was 3 Squadron, not 2 Squadron, they tried to label...
a lot of it was 2 Commando.
Oh, was it?
A lot of the footage in the 60...
So not even the same unit.
Every time they show a war crimes allegation, they show like my helmet cam footage or Hesto's helmet cam footage that they found on Instagram. And
so it's not even the same footage.
The SAS have been killing people again. And it's like, I'm the SIG of 2 Commando. Why are they showing my footage? I didn't do anything.
Oh my! And so but then they also got person number 7, and they tried to label him as person X, and I'm like, why are you calling him person X? It's person 7.
Yeah. Person 69. Yeah, 67. But what are you doing? Like the dude on the stand admitted that person 7 and 14 were the ones that went on 60 Minutes last time, and then last night they're like, I'm the same guy from last time. But they're both serving members of the regiment, and yeah, he didn't say much. It was nothing new. Just some dude in a multicam Shamar. Really cool.
I'd love to see my numbers from this podcast and then compare it to the 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
They would have paid $100,000 for that, and I've sitting in the back here with my 2 phones, my $1,500 setup, or maybe $2,500 setup, and I'll edit to this in like 4 hours and get it up there tonight. I wonder my viewership to theirs with this in my back room, my back of my house.
Run it up, get it out there.
That'd be good.
Because people need to hear this. Even the journalists that are against us, like, this is interesting. I feel it would be interesting for them to know this. I've offered to journalists, like, I'll come on your podcast, like actual enemies. Like, I'm not going to stand up on the table and kick you in the teeth. I might, but
maybe after the podcast.
Maybe after. But like, it's not as clear as what they think. It's not what they want it to be. It's not a My Lane massacre. It's not the Holocaust. It's another Holocaust.
They tried to. I just keep looking back to that Nick Fuentes episode with Pierre Morgus. But I mean, last night, weren't they talking about the Nazi trials?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one thing I didn't put in my reel. I remember watching a bit of it. I'm like, are they trying to compare this to Nazi Germany 1944?
Yeah.
Like, have we really stooped to that low?
Yeah.
Nick McKenzie sat there and went, all right, we're going to get a guy in and he's going to talk about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about Ben Roberts-Smith. And you're like, how low are you people going?
Yeah. Hey,
That's embarrassing. How low are you going, Channel 9? You're bringing up the Holocaust?
yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
I did talk about that in my reel this morning, but
Yes.
I mean, I'm glad I got it out then.
Yeah, good. Like, it's insane what they're trying to paint it as. It's sensational. It's got everything a Hollywood movie and a journalist would want. It's got the big fucking alpha males, blood, gore, guts, violence, guns, bombs. It's got everything. It's the shit they make movies about, but we don't want to be in your movie.
Nah. And like last time this story dropped, it was what, 2020, 2021, 2022, something like that. And there was appetite for this because there was no massive right-er leaning podcasts or people out there like Big Chalky and myself that would come out and you know, fiercely defend this.
Yeah.
So Channel 9, the Australian government, the media, they have enormously underestimated the patriotism that's coming back in Australia. And we've had enough of this shit. And that's why I'm pushing back on it massively. And that's why everyone is pushing back on it. And it's brilliant to see. Like, you want to unite a portion of Australians that are sick of what's happening at the moment. This is it.
Good. And I don't want to be the voice of it or the face of it. I'm just here to help other boys, throw my support behind them, and I'll let all you hitters do your thing. And I'm going to go back to surfing on the beach and
Eating Milo.
eating tins of Milo straight.
Yeah. Maybe we'll go down to Coles now and grab some Milo and have a Milo together.
I'd love that.
All right, let's
Can we
do it.
hold hands?
Yeah, we can. But mate, Scojo, thank you very much for coming on Two Worlds Collide podcast. I'll definitely have you back on again, maybe when this whole thing starts to push its way through court. But let's hope the best. Screw 60 Minutes. Screw the government. And screw all you pussies out there thinking that the right thing to do is to throw Ben in jail when you don't even know the stories of what's happened.
Free BRS.
Free BRS. Thanks for listening to Two Worlds Collide podcast. If you guys enjoyed the episode or you just enjoy what I do in general, then you can head to my website. Link is in the description where you can buy some merch or jump on my Patreon program. What's your thoughts?